Hi, Paul Riccardi. Thank you very much for joining me today. This is a podcast. It's called Todos en Todo. And I want to invite you to tell us your story. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again. I'm here with Paul Riccardi. He's one of the founders of the Panteón 19 in Todos Santos. And we're going to learn a lot about this place, the building, the community that they have created around this concept. And let's start with, tell us a little bit where you come from. What is your background?
Sure. I came from San Francisco. I was born in San Francisco, live in Berkeley now. Mm-hmm. The influences for Panteón, that's one of the things I may be jumping ahead here, but just the idea of what, my mother was a concert pianist, classical pianist, and my uncle, my mother's brother, was a self-taught piano player, and he knew all the people in San Francisco back in the day, like Cal Jader and Vince Guaraldi, the guy that did Peanuts. He knew him, and so I was around music a lot when I was a kid. Right. And that wasn't necessarily a complete inspiration to anything. It's just that I heard a lot of music. Right. I can't play an instrument, but I can hear things that most people maybe can't, or I just pick up on stuff that's different. Right. And so that was one of the, you told me about this podcast, is one of the things I thought about, like what led me to something like this, and that may be just the start of it. Then there's a few other things that I did. There was one, I do a lot of community, like volunteer work in the States. Okay. So and mostly with high school students, or only with high school students. And I've done it for 25 years or so. I was working, but I also took time to do that. Mm-hmm. And I have, two children also, but that was not, I just wanted to be back around young kids. And there was this one kid from Richmond High, which is in, the Bay Area. And he was a soccer player. His name was Marcos. And Marcos was a very average student. Right. And this is maybe about 10 or 12 years ago. Okay. Like I said, I've been doing it for a long time. Mm-hmm. So Marcos was, trying to get into college, but he was so aloof. He had no real focus, really. But I mentored him for 3 years. And he got into college. Just barely. Wow. Okay. Just barely. But he was smart. He was smart, but not really organized and not really hardworking and all that stuff.
Not that focused.
Right. But the last time I mentored him, I went to the school, and there was a video of him playing piano. And the guy was he had an ear for music. He never even studied it. He just picked it all up. And he played guitar and piano, and he may have even played a wind instrument. I don't know. Uh-huh. And he wanted to get into accounting, which is, a numbers thing. But he, like I said, his academic background was not that strong. So, because of music and his ability to decipher all this stuff just in his head, I said, you'll have no problem with accounting. And he ended up getting aced all through college, got an internship at one of the top accounting firms. Wow. I saw him maybe about 4 weeks ago. And really? he recognized me, and I barely recognized him. I hadn't seen him in years. Oh my God! And he remembered everything that we talked about, everything that we did. So that was another inspiration when I talked to Miguel Ochoa about opening up a music studio. Okay,
let's back up a little bit.
Sure, I get excited.
Yeah, just for put the people a little bit more into timing line, right? Okay. When you arrived to Todos Santos.
Fair enough.
And how you arrived to Todos Santos.
Just by chance, really. It was close to San Francisco, easy flight, and my friends at the office had places down here. They said, check it out. So I came here and bought a place right away. This is maybe 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago.
And Todos Santos, where in?
Just near Calle de Pacifico, that way.
Okay,
out
perfect.
The other side.
Yeah, I know where to say. So you arrived to Todos Santos, and you fall in love with the place right away. It took you a little bit time, because some people either arrive and they're like, what is this place? They don't want to be here. Everything is so primitive, or used to be so primitive. We are growing. Or you decide I love this place. I want to be here. And
yeah, I go back and forth to the Bay Area all the time since it's so close. But when I first we traveled a lot when we were, and so I really like the idea of having a little bit something completely different. We went to Africa and things of that nature, and Morocco and all different locations. And I thought here was just perfect. I mean, it was so different from the States. It just was very easy for me to feel good about it. There was not even a question. It was great right from the beginning, really. So easy, so easy. Nice. I mean, obviously there's infrastructure issues, but there's infrastructure issues everywhere. So,
but what specific factor do you think influenced you and your family to make Todos Santos a second home?
Well, there's one reason. It's hard to get around all this, but there were certain reasons just to have something different outside of the United States. That's really basically it, and have something near the beach. I like the ocean. I'm you're like I don't surf or anything, but I like being by the ocean.
Right.
And there was really nothing more than that. And also just the idea of something different than the United States, because there were certain things going on in the States. This is I just didn't know if I wanted to. I wasn't trying to be an expatriate, but I just thought that just something outside the States would be good.
And that was in which year?
2005.
2005. And then while you were staying here, you meet Miguel, or how was that
Miguel,
encounter?
I didn't meet him right away. I met him like 5 or 6 years later, and he was doing some construction work on our house. So that's how we became friends.
Okay, so he's an architect?
Miguel is a trained musician. He's an amazing musician. So that's the reason why we sort of connected in some respects with the studio, obviously. He was trained he got into the University of Mexico City as a musician. And it was a very high-end situation, but he did not want to he just felt the workload for music was just way too much.
I see.
So he decided to do something else. And he's a very creative guy. He's got this mind that can create things just out of nowhere.
Just so you know, Miguel Ochoa, for those who don't know Miguel Ochoa, and he was meant to be here with us in the interview, but he had some commitments to attend. Miguel Ochoa is one of the founders of Panteón 19 here in Todos Santos, and he couldn't be with us today, but Paul Riccardi is with us today, and both of them together create this space. And now tell us a little bit how the idea comes.
Just, I'd like to get the background that I have with music and his background with music. And my wife said, if you didn't exercise and do all these other things that you do, what would you do for a hobby or do with your time? And it took me a couple of days to figure it out. And then I thought we'd do a music studio. So I told Miguel that idea, and he said, okay. And he bought this place. It was it was nothing. It was just a couple of cinder blocks.
Right.
He bought it literally the next week. And then we started the project and just started building it.
And for those who don't know, what is Panteón 19? Panteón 19, the name actually comes because we are literally above of the first Panteón from 1800s in our town. So it's a very unique place. It has a spectacular view, ocean view from Punta Lobos all the way to the Pacific Open La Pastora Ocean. And it's a very, very local place where people come together and create and play music. And tell us a little bit more about this place.
Well, what happened was we started out, when it was completed, it took a while to finish it. And obviously, it wasn't necessarily set up like it is now. It took a while to get to this point. But the building was here. I mean, when he finished the building, we had to bring everything down, like all the soundproofing and the engineering equipment and all that stuff. So what happened was my wife's cousin, who was a drummer, was very influential in helping Matt and myself and Miguel bringing all the equipment down and this drum set down and all this other stuff that we had to bring down here. So it took a while to get that all going. Once it was going, then we had a woman named Teresa, which I think remember
yes,
Teresa.
I
Teresa was
Teresa,
really good, and also with Matt. The two of them started the events. We did they tried to do a lot of community stuff. They had some really good events here. So it was really, that was before the studio became actually a full studio, but it was still, the events were just amazing, what they both put on. So it was really, the town got wind of it through that, and that's.
So by that time, you have a mission or a vision for the place that, like, you.
Well, it constantly evolves. It's not like it's not a constant. This is the mission. The mission really was to have artists come here and create, basically. And we had art exhibits upstairs. We had the productions here. People came in from out of the area. Matt did work with a few of the young kids. There were somebody else that was here with him also, grading kids in the community to try to do some things together and build. So it's sort of like that artist, community-based concept, So that's what I would say.
So if we can be a little bit more specific, let's suppose somebody in the community have a kid with musical aspirations or skills, or they want to explore a little bit more, or they want to find a mentor or a tutor or take some classes. What is the process? They can come, talk to Matt, talk to who?
Like I said, it changed a lot with COVID. It really stopped the process in its tracks, because it was that you couldn't do a lot of meeting here. So what we did, Hernan and a woman named
Teresa?
No, Marie Blessing, I believe her name.
Okay.
They went to the schools and did some classes there. Did some writing, and they did a few things outside of Panteón, because getting the kids to come here without the proper supervision and all that stuff, it's kind of hard to. That's became a little difficult. So we did outreach stuff to that's what they did. Is I said, let's do this, let's do that, and then Matt was in here doing stuff with the kids a little bit. Then COVID hit, and then it sort of stopped it. Okay. So going forward, I think the key thing is with the three of them, Matt, Trevor, and Hernan. All of them. Hernan right now is doing a lot of the stuff with the community. Yeah. Matt's still here every day, and he's done some classes with the engineering. Trevor's done some things also. So it's that kind of building it back up, and those three gentlemen are the ones that you need to contact if you're interested in anything. And they're here. Somebody's here usually all the time. Right. And so, and as far as getting a hold of them without that, I think you can just go. There's a website. I believe that they're updating that. They can check with them there too. Okay. But that's sort of what we're. And also a lot of artists coming in.
Yeah, I heard good artists visiting town or here with friends and family. And Trevor used to share with me, we have it's kind of semi-famous or kind of famous or famous. Right. It was in Panteón, and, they kind of fascinated with the place because, as a humble city is, it brings attention, a lot of attention from a lot of artists and a lot of musicians.
It's super important. I think the list of artists that have been here, they had them write, Trevor and Matt write down the artists that they had come through here, and it was a lot. Right. A lot of people. So it's great. It's gotten a lot of people know about it just because they've been here, and it's nice.
So how, because I noticed it's electricity, it's equipment, it's a lot of resources here. Who paid for all that? Maintenance and all that.
Well, you self-fund these things, so you self-funded it. Yes, I did. Miguel and I paid for all this stuff.
Miguel Ochoa and you? Yeah. Okay. Have you ever think about doing some kind of like fundraising?
We do a little bit of that, but really in that situation, it's that's a good question. People have donated money and donated things to the studio for sure over the years. Right. So people that's automatic. But they used to have a place to donate, but because of COVID, we sort of stopped that. And so now right now, if people want to come in they talk to those three gentlemen, and they could, if they have a need, and they could say do this, and they could say we need this, and people have done that. Right. It's more word of mouth than actually. I think when if you're contributing this stuff to your own particular project, you tend to have a little more control over what happens too. Right. So I think I don't want to have it where you have a bunch of people. Too many
cooks in the kitchen.
Got it. You're right. You lose a little bit.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and especially when you don't want to grow too much. To the point that it becomes very institutionalized, or no, it's something and that is the unique factor of this place, and I think is the small, the humble, the casual, colloquial area and concept that makes this place so special.
No, it's true. I don't think it's a very good point. Like I said, I don't think of it in those terms because I just do it, or Miguel and I just do it. But it makes it a lot simpler. It makes it much more tangible for everybody. The artists come in, they just come in. Right. And Matt or Trevor or Hernan will call me and say, we're going to have this, use the studio. That's fine. Whatever you guys want to do. And it works really well for everybody.
Okay. So sometimes I heard, by the way, great gigs coming here, people coming to great parties, not parties, but festivals where you guys bring the food trucks.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was a very nice event for the community. And I heard those went very, very well.
Mhm.
Do you continue doing that?
That's up to Hernan because he's sort of the producer of these things now. Him and Matt a little bit, but Hernan is sort of like Matt did it for a lot, and then he had. I think it's just good to phase him into. He's doing something a little different with the engineering and production, but Hernan is really. I'm trying to get him to work in production because I think he's very talented, and yeah, he'll continue that as long as he can.
So now that you mentioned production, so if I can simplify the Panteón phases or stages or departments that you have here. One is the audio engineering, right? Mm-hmm. Like for some group or artist come to town and wants to get inspired, for example, and wants to record a song that he just wrote or she just wrote, they can come and use the space.
Yeah, they contact either Matt or
Trevor. And they have to pay something, or it's up to them?
I think I don't set the pay scale for those guys. So they set their own pay scale. I don't necessarily have a pay scale for the studio itself. They have a little bit of a fee they pay, but it's not much. And that really goes towards the electricity and some upkeep, and that's about it. So the artists themselves will pay for if if they can't pay, Matt or Trevor will make adjustments according to what their needs, what they have.
Right.
But yes, they do get paid. They charge something to do for their services, which makes sense.
Right.
But they've done things for free too. So it just depends.
A lot of things for free.
Yeah, it just depends. It really depends. So they're very open about all that stuff, and they're really good with all that stuff. So it's good.
And then is the other aspect of the workshops, right? What kind of workshops?
Well, Hernan's
because
really,
the space
like I
upstairs.
said, yeah.
By the way, the space upstairs. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. It's
more high, obviously, and it's open. I used to come to yoga classes there.
Oh, okay.
To Ashtanga. Not anymore, but it inspires you because you are in that space and you can see the whole entire town, the green area of the Palmares, and the ocean, obviously. And it's a very, very unique place to be up there. And they used to run like a meditation. Right?
Yeah, there's meditation. There's a lot of things that Hernan has put together. We've done small shows up there. Miguel, when the film festival was here, Miguel had the place using it for a film festival. Miguel put together a art exhibit where people painted doors. And we had a whole exhibit upstairs for a large party. This was before COVID, but a lot of artists were here from town.
Okay.
And they sold their pieces. It was just a really nice experience for everybody.
Okay.
And so there wasn't like anything as far as the artists. I don't remember it that well, but it was all about doors. It was really pretty cool. But it's evolving in that situation. Also, Hernan's got a gentleman who works as an association, a nonprofit, and he's got some younger young adults in here. He's mentoring them, doing things in the Panteón upstairs, and so that's all growing too. So that's sort of he has sort of controlling that part of it, but that's actually more community outreach at that point too.
Okay, I heard also that there's a program in the government that calls Jóvenes with Futuro, young people with future, that you guys provide the space to help.
Right, that's what it is. Yeah, yep.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't actually, to be honest with you, on that part of it, I sort of let Miguel handle that because it's more of the. This is something that it's dealing with an outside deal. He was familiar with that. So, so he really he gave it the okay, and it's just sort of, that's what's happening. It's more of a mentoring program. So it's good.
Great. So if you can mention what can be a good support from the community to this place, in your opinion?
It's a really funny question. I thought about that question, and I don't have an answer to it.
I don't want anybody here, actually.
No, I think what ends up happening is that if you're,
I'm asking you, and I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I'm asking you because people who come here, I'm in real estate business, right? It's what I do. They are so happy to be here. They are so grateful, and they're always asking me, Adali, what are there to give back to the community? Okay, well, this is the Padrino. They always ask for these things, And I always sleep in my head, Panteón 19. And because my son also is a music lover, he always mention, I think that place will, with donations, so it can grow its potential, can grow very big, very nice, so very organized, very consistent. But I'm wondering if you mentioned already, maybe too many cooks in the kitchen is no good for it, because it will lose that.
It loses its personal touch, yeah,
right?
That's for sure.
But I'm sure there is people sometimes that they want to give back. How they can?
I think
help.
that's a good. I think in that situation too is they get a hold of one of the three gentlemen that I mentioned, and they have. There's needs in, like everywhere. There's needs.
Okay.
So there's things that we want to just to upgrade the studio, maybe do some work here, and also maybe having other kids coming in to play. It's come in like a scholarship fund that we had, where kids came in and they did some engineering, and so that kind of stuff. So they can some money donating is for that would be fine. They can, but it's one of those things. We're not setting up a tax-free situation because the accounting fees and all the other part of that's just another bureaucratic level.
I know.
So it's a lot of trust involved. But like people have put in money for certain things, like certain instruments that we've gotten. They donate that. That's always nice. If we don't use it, we can find a school that will use it.
Right.
These guys they source the community very well. So it's kind of like just having a communication with one of the three is really helpful, and that'll start something for sure.
So mention the people that are involved with this place.
It's
so
Matt.
Matt, what's his last name?
I can't have a hard time. Heck.
Yeah. Okay, Matt. Yeah, I know Matt.
And then Trevor.
Very nice. Yeah.
Parks Maldonado.
Trevor.
And then Hernan Limas.
And Hernan.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So, are there any upcoming events that people want to know?
I think the summertime it's slowing down a little bit. So he's trying to do one a month, and he posts it on the Instagram. So you can go to Instagram and you'll find it there. That's the best way to do that. And he comes up with these things. Sometimes it's the last minute. So it's one of these things that I'm just only aware. I have to I require 1 week's notice, and that's about it. And then they move forward with the idea. So it's good.
Okay. So going back to you and your vision and your willing to bring back to the community, do you feel like this place can be here for a long time? Even if you sometimes pack and go back, do you think it will stay?
No, the whole idea is to keep it as long as we can possibly keep it going. And I think it's not. It's just a question of having the three people that are here now. I think there are obviously differences in any situation, but they work. Their mission statement is quite good. They want to make it work here, and they're younger, so that's good. And so, the idea of having it continue for me is very important because I think the supporting the arts is great. I mean, it really. Like there were a couple of women that from San Miguel Allende that Trevor Hernan found them. He went there last year, and so the Panteón sponsored them to come out here and record.
Yes.
So the Panteón financed their trip out, and they played and they recorded here for 4 days, and they're trying to put something together, and they're going to go. Maybe tour of San Miguel with the band that started here, and that's the kind of thing that Miguel and I love doing. Is that kind of, finding an artist that comes in and creates something, and then they can move ahead and go and do something. That's one of the goals. I mean, that's really that was a very very nice situation.
Yeah, you guys put it together, and they are out there, and they are great. By the way, I heard them.
Yeah, I
think it's the band name.
Yeah, when I heard them, I thought that had to happen. Yeah, or was it not going to happen? They were just too talented.
So, Miguel is an artist too. He's a musician, great musician. What he plays?
Well, he plays pretty much. I don't know if he plays. He can play flute. He can play guitar. Obviously, he plays a little bit of drums.
Okay.
So he plays pretty much everything. He's very talented. Yeah. He actually was part of the last major event that was happening. I think it was for the Padrino Society, or I believe, or maybe at the Palapa Society, one of the two. Anyway, they had at Dosa Cuarenta. They played there, and he played with John Paul Jones, the bass player from Led Zeppelin.
Oh wow!
And Jones does not play.
He lives here, right?
He used to. He doesn't. He lives in Mallorca now, I believe. But anyway, John Paul Jones did stuff up here with Miguel, but he's a mandolin player.
Oh.
So, he stopped playing bass. He still plays bass, but he plays mandolin. So the two of them did like a piece, a set at that fundraiser at Dosa Cuarenta, and it was amazing, just amazing.
Yeah.
There was other bands too, but they were the headliner. It was really good. So his voice is good. Everything was.
I never see him play while I was
He's
a
good.
kid, but they told me he's a great musician.
He's a very good musician, and he's also, he's very disciplined.
Yeah.
So he has a specific way of how
Right.
everybody needs to behave, how people need to do this. So it's
Right.
very.
I want to have an interview with him too, because I know besides musician, he's a great architect. He's very,
Yeah.
I mean, all the buildings they have around town, they have this
He's creative.
very,
That is for sure.
very nice touch of his signature with the palapa roof and the cement and all that. So yeah. Any final words that you want to share with us? You have a Facebook page. I see the Facebook page, Panteón 19. If you want to know more about it and the events that are coming, you can go there. And
people can come up here and just take a look at it, just to walk around. You are here during working hours. People are here working, but it's good just to come up here and just take a look at it. And I think the whole idea of if you're seeing a band in town, if you like a band in town, tell them about the studio if they don't know. I think engaging with artists is always important. And if you're going to a restaurant or a hotel, they're playing cover songs, but you happen to like them.
Yeah.
Make sure you tip them well because they need the money.
I tell you a story about this. I don't know. Trevor was probably 14, 15 years old. We were in some place we traveled when we used to travel together, not anymore. And then he was a musician, right, playing in the restaurant, right? And he wasn't very good, but he was trying, right? And then my husband and I, they started to talk, and then he's like, you guys have no respect. He was very serious, very like, I don't know what was it that we comment. I mean, nothing bad, but I mean, he just started or something like that. He said, he's trying his best, but he was totally serious. He's trying, you have to have respect for somebody who come and play to somebody in front of people, that by itself, it's a big thing. You don't understand. And so now I get it. So now every time I go to a restaurant, if it's good, it's good. If it's bad. Or if it's not that, whatever.
Right.
We tip back because I know that these guys, just by being there and share the music.
Yeah, it's important. I think if you do that, you can actually just, talk. You can mention the studio, and that's really the word of mouth is the most important thing. Like again, with the two women from San Miguel, I just happened to run across them just going to Rancho Corazon. They were playing on a Monday night, and I thought these two women are amazing. So let's just go ahead and Panteón will sponsor them, and so it was good.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much, Paul, for taking the time.
It was my pleasure.
You are busy and always traveling, because I wanna tell the story. This is a podcast where the dreamers, the makers, and the creators come alive, and I wanna honor those people who.
Well, that's very nice of you. That's very nice.
Put their faith in town to create community, and you guys are the best example of it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that was good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. And I hope you enjoyed this episode with Panteón 19, Panteón 19, and Todos Santos. I hope see you soon in the next episode of Todos en Todo. So everyone is part of Todos Santos. Everyone can create, can make, and can dream. So see you next time. I'm Adali Parks, and see you soon.